National parks can be expensive, and if you're doing van life and trying to do it on a budget, it can be hard, especially if you wander into expensive areas like Jackson Hole, Wyoming, just south of Grand Tetons. I just spent about a week in the area, and today I'm going to tell you about everything I learned on this trip so you know what's available to you and to save you time and money. Hi, my name is Nicole. Welcome to my channel, Travel to Money. I just recently started a 2-month van life trek, and I only really had the first week fully planned out. But now that I'm a couple of weeks into it, I'm really glad that I didn't plan too much because you really do get into a rhythm of figuring out where you want to be each day, and it may not always be what you had planned for a month earlier. So, Grand Tetons, which I was incorrectly calling Tetons, is a great national park to visit for van life. Unlike Yellowstone, which is massive and not particularly easy to drive in and out of for places to stay, Tetons offers easy access to the city of Jackson in the Jackson Hole area of Wyoming. And within the national park, there are even free places to camp overnight that offer views better than any paid campsite I've ever seen. But let's break this down into a few categories. Let's talk about free places to camp, internet options, electricity options, water options, shower facilities, laundry, groceries, places to eat. And if I left anything out that you want to know, just leave me a comment and I'll do my best to answer your questions. Okay, let's start with places to park a van, a camper, or an RV for free. I was lucky enough to meet an awesome couple in Yellowstone who reminded me about a great app called iOverlander. It has lots of information about places to park, as well as other specific information about things like showers, electric hookups, and more. They told me about a spot where they were able to stay inside of Grand Tetons for free, and they turned out to be right. This spot was unbelievable. So the thing is that Grand Tetons includes the road that comes south out of Yellowstone and runs all the way down to Jackson, which is south of Tetons. This road is technically within the national park, but it's not within the part where you pay to enter. There is a specific camping area that has multiple camping sites completely free for up to 5 nights. And honestly, I didn't see anyone regulating it, so maybe you could even stay longer. I'm not sure. A lot of people seem to know about this area, but even on the week after the 4th of July, I always had a place to park every evening. There is one particular spot that is listed on iOverlander as the best Grand Tetons view. And if I were you, that's the spot I'd check out that you're seeing here on the screen. It was truly unbelievable. The first night, I really lucked out and parked right along one of the edges with a view. This is where I learned some lessons about camping etiquette. There were definitely people giving colonizer vibes who took up more space than they needed, hogging some of the best spots all for themselves. This was such a bummer to see because it seems that most campers in general were friendly and shared space well. It only takes a few people with their greedy attitudes to ruin the vibe. So remember, when you're using free shared land, think of your community and share space well. I was spending my evenings exploring the inside part of the park, so often by the time I got up to the campground around sunset at 9:30, the best spots would be gone. But that's okay because I already had a good spot for one night and I'm glad the other folks had a chance to experience it. I don't know why anyone would want to stay anywhere else during a trip to Tetons, but let's talk about a couple of other options. Most places listed in the city of Jackson were listed as closed on iOverlander. This is understandable. The city of Jackson is swarming with tourists, so they have a lot of rules because campers come through there all the time. Jackson was very cute, but was probably the snootiest town I've ever been to. I've never experienced anything quite like it. I asked a couple in a grocery store about it, and they said not to judge all of Wyoming by the city of Jackson. They told me that in Jackson, the billionaires have driven out the millionaires, and that most people in the town are very over all the tourists. I get it. It's just not fun to be in an area where people are so miserable that they treat their customers like they don't belong, no matter how cute it is. Anyway, definitely plan an afternoon or grocery shopping in the city of Jackson, but I wouldn't count on staying the night based on anything you see on iOverlander. However, your next best option is Harvest Hosts. I'll leave an affiliate link for them in my bio. I've used Harvest Hosts a handful of times since I first signed up earlier this year, and it has been a gem. My first night arriving in the Jackson area, I was able to stay in front of a distillery just outside of the city for free. I unfortunately got there too late to try any of their products, but they keep two spots available for campers. So as long as it's not full, that's an option you can book on Harvest Host. My favorite place that I stayed with Harvest Host was a brewery about 45 minutes from Jackson in the city of Alpine. They are very welcoming, and after staying on my second night in the area, I decided to go back again at the end of my stay and spend my last night there. The brewery is on a beautiful piece of land that sits along the reservoir that goes all the way over into Idaho. A beautiful drive. The brewery was open until 11 on the nights I was there and served amazing burgers and some of my favorite beer I've had. The views were incredible and the land was so big, there was plenty of room for all the campers who came to stay. Just be sure to book your stay on Harvest Host. This, like many other places on Harvest Host, only allows one night at a time, so it's not like you can make camp there for a week, but it's a great place to stop over on your way in or out of Tetons. So, between the free campsite within Tetons and other options on Harvest Host, I think you can easily find free options. Note that none of these locations have hookups, so you'd need either a well charged battery or solar power to keep you going. What I did was stay at the free campsite most nights. Then, early in the morning, I'd drive into Tetons and set up my solar power and my Starlink for the day so that I could work while I charged my battery. If you absolutely need power, you can, of course, book some of the sites in Tetons, but that's going to get expensive and you'll need to book those well in advance, though sometimes you will find last minute cancellations. So, the next thing I want to talk about are internet options. In Tetons, you may actually have more options than in many other national parks. First of all, there were times in the place I camped at night that my T Mobile signal was working, and it definitely works in the city of Jackson and in Alpine. As I talked to other people, I found that a lot of people had Verizon access within the national park, which is cool. Although I have Starlink and it works just fine, it does eat away at my battery. I spent a lot of time at the Coulter Bay campground. They had Wi Fi at the marina, near the showers, and I often found that if I parked close enough, it would easily reach my van. That was super handy, and anytime I could use it instead of Starlink, it was definitely saving on my power. Of course, I was working full time and also uploading my videos, but hopefully, if you are visiting, you won't even need to worry about that. But it's nice to know there are options. Okay, now for electricity options. I already mentioned before that solar or campsites are your best bet if you need electricity. If you really need to get creative to charge a battery, you can also book a study room in the library in Jackson. They are super friendly and they do have electric outlets in the study rooms. You can book these in 2 hour blocks. I looked into it and actually booked a study room, but I didn't end up needing it, so I easily canceled my time online. But it's good to know it's available. Okay, now let's cover water. If you have some sort of tank, I would come to the area with it already filled. Outside of filling at a campsite, there aren't a lot of options that I noticed. So in my van, I only use the sink for things like brushing teeth and a little dishwashing or washing my hands on occasion. I have a shower on the outside of the van, but I hardly ever use it. I carry a couple of gallon water jugs, plus a 3 gallon jug of drinking water that I haven't even touched on this trip. Then I have a couple of regular water bottles. The water bottles and the gallon jugs have been super easy to fill, especially in the national parks where they have water fountains that have the sensored filler stations, which I've been easily able to use for 1 gallon jugs. And the water from these fountains at Tetons is fantastic drinking water. The rec center, which I'm going to talk about as one of the locations for showers, also has those same sort of fountains that are convenient for refilling gallon or smaller bottles. Speaking of showers, let's go ahead and move on to this one. You basically have two options, one in the national park and one at the rec center in Jackson. Let's talk about the rec center first. For $10, you can get a shower pass, which is kind of steep. This rec center is fancy and they charge you for it. There are two shower options at the rec center, the fancy ones near the rock wall, but be forewarned that the water pressure is awful. If you want good water pressure and consistent hot water, check out the showers near the pool. The other option at the rec center is to buy a day pass, which is $22 for a non resident and $13 for Wyoming residents. This would give you all day access to the facility, including lots of sports courts, an indoor track, pools, a massive indoor rock wall climbing structure, and more, not to mention the showers. Whether you do just the showers or the day pass, it's expensive when you compare it to something like Planet Fitness, where you have access to all their facilities around the US for just around $25 per month. Speaking of Planet Fitness, the nearest location is in Idaho Falls, which is almost a 2 hour drive from Jackson, Wyoming. So it would definitely be cheaper and more time efficient to just pay for showers at the rec center or in the Grand Tetons Park. Speaking of the showers in Tetons, I showered there once at the Coulter Bay campground, and the showers were just $5. It wasn't the fanciest shower facility. You will definitely want to bring your shower shoes, but the shower itself was great with awesome water pressure and was hot the whole time. There are also other campsites within Tetons that offer showers, but I didn't try out the others. I found myself really enjoying the Coulter Bay area most of the time. At the same building as the showers in Coulter Bay were the laundry facilities. You can do a wash load for $5 and use the dryer for 45 minutes on medium heat for $3. So $8 will get you one load of laundry. I also did a load of laundry at the laundromat in Jackson, and the pricing was pretty similar. Both locations take credit cards. There is also a full grocery store at the Coulter Bay campground, but of course, anything on property is going to be more expensive. I would recommend Albertsons in Jackson. They had reasonable prices and a really nice store. I also buy a bag of ice every 2 to 3 days and found that it was available within the park at the grocery stores, at Albertsons, and of course at gas stations as well. If you decide you want to go out to eat for a meal, there are restaurants within the national park, and you will find a slew of options in Jackson. You're not likely to find a lot of budget options other than fast food, but there are plenty of places to choose from. Okay, well, I hope that has helped you to cover how to take care of your needs on a budget at Grand Tetons. Oh, I almost forgot to mention, rather than buying a pass just to go into Tetons, I highly recommend buying the annual pass that gets you into all US national parks. It's just $80 for the year, but just going into Tetons is $70 for the year. So ask for the America the Beautiful pass when you pull up to the gate, and they will have it available for purchase there at Tetons entry points. It's important to know that you must present your ID with this pass for entry into all national parks. They do not accept digital versions, so be sure to put it in a secure spot. This pass will cover your whole vehicle. If you are over the age of 62, a member of the military, or someone with a permanent disability, there are big discounts or even free options available, so be sure to look for more information online before you go. Okay, I sure hope this video has been helpful. Leave me a comment to let me know your plans. I'd love to chat with you there. Do me a huge favor, like this video and subscribe to join me every day, where travel and adventure build financial freedom. I can't wait to see where your dreams will take you.